it's time for us to start our own Yayoi Kusama inspired pumpkin drawings. So in thinking about how her shapes were really just kind of not very perfectly round, they had those really cool curves and things, I'm going to try to use that style as I start drawing a pumpkin on here. And you can decide if you want multiple pumpkins, if you want one, if you want to practice on a scrap paper, that might be a great idea. So this is a little bit different from how we would draw some of our pumpkins, but I'm going to start kind of with this just kind of long oval-y kind of shape. And that's going to be my center, and just going to come off of each side. So if you've ever done another pumpkin drawing with me before, you might remember doing it very differently from this. But this is very reminiscent, very similar to the style that we saw when we looked at our other artwork on the slideshow. So I'm going to just add a stem up there and some of the parts of the pumpkin that we can kind of see behind there. So this is one of those, I feel like they seem so weighty, so heavy at the bottom, and it gives it such an interesting look. So that's kind of inspired by that style. And so you can, again, do multiples. You can make them a little bit wider. You could make them narrow. Really your style. I'm gonna just kind of show you if I was gonna go up here and make one that's wider. I could do that. Now this is really tiny. This is just kind of a little sketch here. Probably wouldn't become my main artwork to have a little tiny one up here. But then I could think a bit again about my stem and then add some of those shapes. We want our sections nice and separate for this. So, and again, you can erase anything that you don't like. And so I think I would probably just go with this one, and I'm not crazy about that shape. So, you know, we can always erase things, even unless we've done it in Sharpie or paint or something. And so I'm going to get rid of that little guy right there. And this whole thing's going to be colored, so I'm not worried if that still shows. So once you have your pumpkin, let's say I just want to go with one big one. And then I'm going to, actually, before I go to my Sharpie tracing, I'm going to think about what my background is going to look like. You can think of some of the designs we looked at. I am going to add sort of a horizon line here, table line, just to put this down on a surface. And one thing I thought was kind of cool, actually, was the one that had the zigzag lines. Again, you might have a completely different idea, but if I wanted to have something like that, and then I wouldn't have this little line here. So I could do, and I'm really borrowing a lot of our inspiration artist's style here. And so that's my basics. My next thing I'm going to do is just trace my lines with Sharpie. And so this is very simple at this point. So I would just go over all of my lines with Sharpie. Again, if you get off a little bit, just erase the pencil. No one will ever know. Or you don't even have to erase it, to be honest, because when we add our color, it'll get filled in. So I'm going to finish tracing this off camera so you can get started with yours. And again, it might be a great idea to do a few practice sketches and really decide how you want your drawing to look.